Congresswoman, you were very well received here. Tell us what is your message that distinguishes you from the other candidates. 24 candidates, hard for people to remember 10 of them. Why should they remember and start leaning towards supporting you? What is your argument?
Yeah, you know, I shared here today my experience. My first trip coming to South Carolina was as a newly enlisted soldier in the Army National Guard after 9/11. I've served now for over 16 years. I've deployed twice to the Middle East, and in Congress have served for over 6 years on the Homeland Security, Foreign Affairs, and Armed Services Committees. So I shared with them, you know, my experience in understanding the importance of national security and also knowing the cost of war. And the kind of leadership that I bring comes from this experience of ending these wasteful regime change wars that have cost so many lives and trillions of hard-earned taxpayer dollars that instead of going towards investing in the needs of our people, things like healthcare, education, infrastructure, protecting our environment, trillions of dollars have been going to pay for these wasteful wars and this new Cold War and nuclear arms race. So the leadership that I bring will end these wasteful regime change wars, work to end the new Cold War and arms race, and instead invest in our people, use those resources to put their needs, their interests, and their well-being first and foremost.
Now, you're a member of Congress. Where do you stand on those that are calling for impeachment inquiries to start in Congress?
You know, I don't think that's the right route to take, and here's why. The American people in this country have been so divided and so torn apart. I think pursuing that route of impeachment would only further divide the country. I think it's important that we defeat Donald Trump and that the American people and voters rise up and say, we want to get this guy out of office. We want to have a president who will put the interests of the American people first and foremost, and that's why I'm running for president.
Many of the voters in South Carolina are African American.
Yes.
How do you deal with the race gap? We have the class gap, we have the gender gap, but we also have a race gap.
Absolutely.
Black women don't make the same as white women annually. Blacks are still doubly unemployed. The criminal justice issues. How do you deal with the race gap? What is the Gabbard policies that will bring us more toward a nation of equality?
Well, these are many of the issues that I've been working on in Congress and that I focused on here today with people who are here at this convention. Ending this failed war on drugs that has disproportionately impacted black and brown people, people of color, people whose lives have been destroyed and torn apart. Friends of mine that this has happened to. Ending the federal marijuana prohibition. I've introduced the only bipartisan piece of legislation to do so, supporting ending the cash bail system, really passing true sentencing reform, dealing with the fact that maternal mortality rates disproportionately impact black women over everyone else. These are the kinds of issues that we need to tackle to bring about true equality in every single aspect of our lives.
You're on the first night of the debates.
Yes.
It's less than a week away. How are you going to distinguish yourself on that stage in Miami on Wednesday night?
You know, it's really the message that I've been bringing to voters across this country, bringing the unique experience that I have that no one else on that stage will bring, and this message of understanding how our foreign policy is inseparable from domestic policy, that we have to deal with the cost of war, ending the wasting of our taxpayer dollars on these wasteful wars, and invest those dollars in making it so that we can provide health care for all, we can provide a quality education, we can rebuild our crumbling infrastructure.
All right. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Aloha.